Good morning, everyone. My name is Janice from Aspen's Horizon LLC, and today we're going to be interviewing Miss Valerie Garcia from the New York Public Library. We will be discussing everything healing through books. But first, we want to introduce Miss Valerie and just ask her a few questions and let her give us a spiel of who she is. Miss Valerie?
So I'm Valerie Garcia. I have been a librarian for the New York Public Library for 33 years. I've been in the library all my life. My mother worked for the library for 47 years. Me and my sister were always in the library after school, summer break, spring break, just always in the library, and used to always help my mother with shelving the books, processing things because this was before the computers, so everything had to be done by hand. I'm a library baby. I've been that's what they call
And
me,
you've been a
library
great one.
baby. Yes, the library.
So, a little background, I've known Valerie for quite some time. We've done a lot of community work. She is one of the people that I go to ask questions about what's needed, how can we involve the community. And Valerie does exceptional work. Not only does she work for the New York Public Library, but she volunteers all throughout East Harlem. So, today's episode is going to be about healing through books, reading and healing. So, I'm just going to ask Miss Valerie some questions. We're going to see where it goes. This is our first episode, so thank you for joining me.
Thank you for making me the
Absolutely.
first.
And then it's a very relaxed environment. You know, this is my first episode. I don't want it to be all stiff. And we are learning as we go. So I'm sure that throughout the years, as the episodes get better, we will be better as well.
Yes.
So, Miss Valerie, based on this, right, 33 years of dedication to the library, 26 in East Harlem, what first inspired you to become a librarian, besides your mom and you being there with her, and what has kept you so committed to our community?
So, what inspires me to be a librarian is just working with people. People always think librarians is just books. We're just doing books, promoting books. And yes, that is one of the main things. We're promoting reading, literacy, books. But it's also communicating with the community, becoming a family with your community. Libraries are safe places. That's one thing that I worked really hard at the Aguilar Library to make sure children and their parents, families feel safe at the library. And it feels like somewhere home. And sometimes they're too comfortable where you see the child on one side of the room and the mom on the other side, but it makes me feel good. I was like, they're comfortable here. You see kids just fall asleep, you know, they're comfortable. They feel like nothing's gonna happen to them.
A safe space
So it's
away
a
from
safe
home.
place. It's a safe place where kids come after school, do their homework, wait for mom or dad to come get out of work. But then also we still try to push that literacy, push the reading, do your homework. And over the years, we've evolved. Before it
Absolutely.
used to be just read and do your homework and get on the computer. If you've done all that already, then you can leave.
Okay.
But now we offer coloring pages. We offer STEM kits, STEAM kits. We offer magnetiles where they can come and play. So we're offering everything at the library.
In addition to the adults, where they have some English and Spanish courses and other materials and curriculums that you guys are adding to the library to support not only the child, but the parents and the community.
Yes. We have English classes. We have reading and writing classes for adults, and computer classes as well, where they can come and learn from the very beginner who doesn't know how to use the mouse to the very advanced where they're helping them edit their YouTube channels.
I'll be going there to get some support as well.
Yes.
So, as a single mom who utilized the library for a long time, one of the problems that I would encounter with one of my children who was super hyper all over the place, I want to ask you, what is your most challenging situation with families and children in the library? And what has the library evolved with to support families who have that child who's hyper, who's on the spectrum, who has a disability? What are some of the things that are in play?
So we try to have little stations where they can go and just be, I don't want to call it a timeout, but just a place where a child, if they're not feeling safe or just having that moment where they can
Like a
calm
quiet
down,
zone.
a quiet zone. Yes. I've had plenty of kids who maybe aren't on the spectrum, but just misbehave, and I try to get to know them. Try to get to know them and find out what is causing them to misbehave. And if, can I give an example?
Absolutely.
So I had a boy, Ronald. I just love Ronald. Oh my God, I love Ronald to death, right? Come to the library, 10 years old, by himself after school. Ronald would always get into fights with other kids. And then we would throw him out, right? Until I realized, let me talk to Ronald and find out what's going on. And Ronald said that the kids bothered him. They would say things to him. They would poke him. They would poke the bear until he would just
react. Right, right.
So one day I observed it. They're all on the computer, and Ronald stands up and picks up the chair and is going to throw the chair at the kid. And I'm like, what's going on? What's happening? And Ronald says, well, he said something about my mother. At that point, I didn't witness the kid saying it, but I know that there was something between them. And so then I told them, I said, the next person that upsets Ronald is not leaving. That person is leaving. And it never bothered him again. They never.
So not only are you a librarian, you're a mom, you're a doctor, you're a social worker, you're a psychologist,
yes.
and you're basically wearing many hats to ensure that while these kids are in the library, they have a safe place to be.
Yes.
And I have to say, I've witnessed that. I have gone to the library to sit with Valerie for lunch and, plan some stuff for the community. And I've witnessed some of the, diffusing and de-escalating situations, and she's really good at that.
Yeah, I mean, most libraries, they won't do that. They'll just ask you to leave, ask you to leave. But most of our kids can't leave. Their mom's not off of work yet. So I feel horrible just putting them out on the street, to wait for their mom. So we're going to work out we're going to work it out. We're going to work something out. Yes.
So as far as the libraries are concerned, like every job, what are the most rewarding moments and what are the most discouraging moments?
So just recently, the most rewarding has been patrons that were children coming back and wanting me to give their child their first library card because I gave them their first library card. That's very rewarding. In maybe a few years ago, I was named East Harlem Hero by the East Harlem Scholars Academy School, and a classroom was named after me. And that was very rewarding. Like, that showed me that I'm being appreciated, that somebody is noticing my work. Even though I get that every day, people thanking me. Now that the library is closed, when I walk down the street, people are like, well, when are you coming back? Right. When are you coming back? What are you doing over here? And I have patrons who have reached out to me like you. You reached out to me and said, I had the conversation you had with the contractor.
I did.
And so, I just passed there and I asked, is everything on schedule? Right. And he was like, come on in. You want to see it? I'm like, no, I'm good. But, it's just rewarding that I'm able to pull the community in and let them know that this is their space. This is your space, and you have to fight for it.
And I'm glad you said that, because one of the concerns as community members, myself and others, is we're a little nervous that once they repair the building and they make it pretty, that they'll decide, no, this is not a library anymore. We're going to use it for something else. And so we just want you to clear that rumor up, because it's been going around in East Harlem that we might not get our library back.
No, absolutely not. That would not happen.
You heard it here first.
It would not happen. I mean, if it does, it would be a shock to me. It could not happen.
Perfect.
And these are the reasons why. We have 40 plus schools within a 10-block radius of Aguilar on 110th Street and 3rd Avenue. Okay?
Wow.
Yep. 40 plus.
Not to mention 16 NYPL developments.
And I was going to just get to that. Yes. So 40 plus, that's public school, charter school, Catholic, parochial school, and the nursery schools. Right? And then, like you said, the 16 NYPL developments that's families and kids, families and kids, families and kids. And then on top of that, all the buildings that are being built around.
Absolutely.
So
So we're safe. It's safe to
would
say
not
that
happen.
our library will be
It
back
would
by
not
the
happen.
summer.
And I'm sure the neighborhood would not let it happen.
Absolutely not. That's why we're here asking
Yes.
all the questions. So you've seen generations of children grow up in the library, right? How have books shaped these families and these children? Let me just share a little bit about my story. I am a nerd. I read about 15 to 20 books every 2 to 3 months now. And I'm constantly asking Valerie, what do you have? What's new? How can we engage? And I utilize those books to create my curriculum, to actually help heal myself and my family and my friends. I do a lot of personal development. And I know that for me, books are my life. They heal me. They give me my quiet time. They help me reset. How have you seen these books and the reading and healing process affect our community?
So the fight is that a lot of parents see reading as just an educational thing, right?
Right.
Learning to read, literacy, not as a fun thing, and they don't give that to their children. And when they come in, it's a battle because the child wants a graphic novel, you know? And the parent is like, no, that's baby or that's fun. And
Right.
yes,
Yes.
it's fun. Yes,
Absolutely.
it has to be fun, you know. And so I always tell them, let them choose what they feel comfortable reading. You know, even if a child gets a lower level book, that's what makes them feel comfortable reading, and then they'll advance to a more advanced book or to their reading level. And I tell them it takes them somewhere that they don't have to worry about schoolwork or worry about what's happening outside or what's happening that they're seeing on TV or what they're seeing on TikTok or
Right,
Instagram
social
or
media.
social media. It takes them away from that and takes them away from family issues, whatever problems families are having. Let them have that. Let them have that downtime. And, you know, then the parents like, well, I want them to read something intellectual, you know. I said,
Right,
all right.
right.
So they make a deal with them.
Negotiate.
Let's read this and then we'll read this. And then I always encourage parents to read the same book and have a conversation, you know. Read the book together. Read the book to each other. So that also brings families together.
I wanted to add to that one of the things that has helped me is I'll get a book, I'll read it. I'll be so excited, I'll read straight through. Then I'll go back and I'll reread it again, right? I've had adults tell me, oh, you use reading as a way to like disconnect from the world. And my response was, absolutely.
Yes,
Because
yes.
there are other vices. Oh, I could choose to drink. I could choose to smoke. I could choose to run the streets. So if we have a way of dealing with things through books, but the foundation has to be set from young.
Yes,
Making
absolutely.
it fun.
And they have to see you doing it. You know?
I was just getting
they
to
have
that.
to see the parent doing it. They have to see abuelita, grandma doing it, you know?
Absolutely.
And they'll pick up the same thing. My nephew used to always see my aunt read the New York Times. And he would pick up the paper and read the paper. Well, I mean, try to
Like
read
my
the
dad,
paper.
the coffee from the bakery, the newspaper, and then come home and
Yes.
sit by the window.
Yes. So it starts
Definitely.
from
young.
young, but it also starts with the family.
So, you know, with all the fun, I have to ask the deep questions, right?
Go ahead.
What is your biggest concern for the future of the libraries, especially in East Harlem?
Keeping up with technology.
Absolutely.
Keeping up with technology. This new renovation has brought us up to speed because we didn't have many charging tables
Right,
for
charging
adults. We didn't have many computers. We had 5 computers, and we had people coming in needing to use computers.
And losing patrons because they got tired of waiting.
Yes. We did have laptops, but not many older people would like to use a laptop.
Absolutely.
Now what we're seeing, though, is kids are accustomed to using a laptop or a tablet, using a touch screen. Yes. Kids don't know about the mouse.
Right.
I had a kid, he was maybe 3 or 4. He came, looked at the mouse, picked it up like the phone. It's like he doesn't know it's a mouse.
Know what it does.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's just keeping up technology, having the money.
The
funding to keep the computers up to date and maintained.
which brings me to volunteers and donations. Can you let everyone know how to become a library volunteer, where to give donations, especially now that the summer's coming and you guys are going to be opening up again and you're
Yes.
going to have an influx? Let everyone know how they can become a volunteer and where they can donate to the New York Public Library.
So, if you're interested in volunteering in a specific library, if you're interested in volunteering at Aguilar, you can just come right in and speak to the library manager, and they'll do all the steps for you, because you
Perfect.
do have to take a child safety background check. If you're interested in volunteering within the New York Public Library, you could go right to the library's website, NYPL.org.
NYPL.org.
And search volunteer opportunities, and it'll give you all the steps that you need to take. To donate, you can also come right into the library and donate in cash or donate in a check. You do have We do ask that you say New York Public Library for the Aguilar Library or for the specific library.
Library
So
that you wanna have.
right, so that money goes specifically into that library's budget. And you can also do it online as well at the library website.
So the next question. With the increasing budget cuts affecting the libraries nationwide, what do you think is at risk if we don't fight to protect and keep our libraries for our families?
We risk less books. We risk lessening the hours,
Oh, wow.
lessening the days, less programming, less story times.
Oh, wow.
So it's always a fight every year to make sure our budget maintains where it's at. We was lucky. We were scared for a moment there last year,
Yes, we were.
but but we got it all back. And I mean,
Amen.
well,
Thank
not
God.
all of it, but enough to help us
To keep us mainstream.
Yes.
So, as you know, we have a lot of things happening in East Harlem. There's elections, there's council people. If you can speak to these new people coming into office, right? There's good, there's bad, there's the ugly, there's a little bit of everything, right? Not everyone comes in knowing everything and they learn as they go. What would your request be of these people coming into office when it comes to our families, reading, healing, the library, and the fact that the library is not just a place to go and read and be safe, it's actually a staple of our community. It's the fact that we are a village and you have been one of the village leaders there. So what would you say to our new people coming into office about the need for them to really remember us? To think about funding and additional money for us and activities? What would you like to say to our future council people?
I first want to invite them first. The most important thing is for you to come and see. Come
Absolutely.
see, come experience. Come when there's nowhere to sit, or every table's taken,
Yes.
every computer's taken. When we have a story time and you see the kids dancing and singing and clapping, come see that first, and then see how that makes you feel.
Absolutely.
And then
Energy.
speak to the people in the library, not the staff. Speak
The
to
constituents,
the,
yeah.
the patrons there and get how they feel when they come to the library. From the very youngest to the very old. Believe it or not, people still come in for newspapers, right? To
Wow.
read the newspapers.
I didn't know you guys had them, so I'm learning.
Yes,
Okay.
we still get the newspapers. And we have an older woman who would come just for the newspapers every day.
Wow.
And with Aguilar closed now, she had nowhere to go to read the newspaper. So it's coming and talking to the people and seeing it. And then asking them what they would like. Because this library is a community library. And you can ask the staff what they would like, but it's what the community would like. And I always empower the patrons and tell them, this is your space. What would you like to see? What would you like to have here?
So I'm glad you said that, because even with Aspen's Horizon, one of the things that I do with my workshops, when people tell me, oh, this is what we want to do, the first thing I say to them is like, it's not what you want. It's what the families need and the requests. So the fact that you are very well aware and you have your finger on the pulse that in order for someone to understand what is in need, they have to experience it, right?
Yes.
And a lot of the people in our community sit behind a desk, right?
Yes.
And they send other people who don't have the emotional maturity, capacity, compassion, and empathy. So I think what we're requesting from everyone in our community, politicians, small businesses, nonprofits, you guys are getting an exceptional amount of budget money. And I'm sure it's being utilized, but let's put the library at the top of that. Because at this point in time, I know for myself, books are $40, $50, $60. I've spent up to $300 at Barnes and Nobles for books, for curriculums, for ideas, for workshops. How do we continue to provide this family with these books?
And the library has done a very good job in purchasing ebooks and audiobooks online. Ever since the pandemic, when we were shut down, that they put their focus mostly on that. And then they realized that many people prefer to read on their phone or their tablet or their computer.
Not everybody.
Not everybody, but some do,
Right.
Many people enjoyed the virtual book clubs that we've had, and continue to participate in the virtual ones. So the library has done a very good job in keeping up with technology and bringing more ebooks, more virtual books.
Perfect. Let me thank you again for being here, because I know that you are busy. And we just want to wrap this up a little bit. But there's a few more questions I want to ask. Looking back on your journey, what advice would you give a young person considering a career as a librarian, or working in the librarian in the library, or being in community?
I'm totally honest. It's not a glamorous job.
Thank you for your honesty.
It's not a glamorous job. When you go to library school, you're learning the basics, right? You're learning the basics, library science. But you're not learning what you're going to experience. Okay? Some days you have to break up some fights and some arguments, Sometimes you have to go plunge in the toilet. Okay? But it's all about community. If you like people, like talking with people, like to hear people's stories, like to take them on journeys through books, then being a librarian is what is there for you. It's not all about just reading. You don't have to be a genius. A lot of people just think, oh, I got to be a really good reader. I got to be a really good researcher. I have to love books. No. You first have to love people, because you're going to be communicating with people all day, every day, and they're just not coming in for books. They need to make a photocopy. They need to email somebody. They need to make an email. They don't know how to get on their email. They forgot their password. So it's being patient, be willing to help, being compassionate, and realizing that a lot of people see the library as an educational institute, and so they come in already feeling inferior to you.
Understood.
And so,
educational bias.
Yes.
We do it to ourselves.
Yes.
And then the final question, which is a two-part question, right? Everyone thinks the library is just for reading, right? For me, it's a healing space. It's mental health. It's all of it in one. I know for a fact that you've had to deal with overdoses and addictions within the library, people passing out in the bathrooms. And that's traumatic, right? Not only for you, the staff, the children, and the families. Understanding how in that building there's a lot going on, there's a lot of healing, there's a lot of conversations. You've had people who have lost parents and grandparents, and you've sat with them. How involved is the library as far as just human compassion and empathy and dealing with mental health and trauma issues every day?
So many libraries have gotten social workers to come and work a few hours a day, which have helped people with their housing problems, with their SNAP problems, with their medical, their insurance problems. So that's one way where we've brought in master students from Hunter College as social workers.
So that's new. I've never known that.
Yes.
So
well, it's
good to
we've
know
had
that
a couple of years.
Awesome.
We've had a couple of years. We did have a few at Aguilar before we closed.
Okay. And where can they find that information as far as the time? Are they bilingual? Like what is
Right on the library website.
Okay,
Right on the
perfect.
library website. If you know your local library, you can look on the local library's website and see they'll have the hours for the social worker.
Well, Miss Valerie, you've given me so much new information, and I talk to you regularly, and I'm
Yeah.
always in there.
No.
So thank you for that information.
Thank you.
And most of all, now relaxing a little bit, I want to ask you, how did it feel to do this? Does it feel good? Does it feel uncomfortable? You know, it's a new show for me as well, so I just want to know how that feels.
It's comfortable because it's something that I know.
It's your passion.
Right. It's something that I've been fighting for, working for, promoting.
Absolutely.
For the last 33 years. So it's fine with me.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So for me, it was exciting to have Valerie because Valerie is not only a friend, a community staple person that's always advocating, but she understands how much I love books, and people don't get it because I'm a nerd. And I just wanted to say thank you to her, but I also wanted to ask you the question that every librarian should be asked. What is your favorite book and why?
Wow. I have so many.
Top three.
Top three. So they're probably the ones that my mom used to read to me. And she used to read these books to me, and I wish that they were more BIPOC with black and brown.
Absolutely.
But I'm grateful that she read them to me,
Absolutely.
right? So
We've come a long way since then, right?
Yes. So the main one that she used to read to us was Curious George.
Oh, one of my
That's a
favorites.
classic, right?
Yes, absolutely.
You can't go wrong with Curious George. Amelia Bedelia.
Oh, I used to love all her books.
Right?
Yep.
And she used to remind me of Lucy O'Ball, right?
Yes.
Because she just was a kooky girl. And The Red Balloon.
Okay. That one I'm not aware of.
Yes,
So I'll look
The
into
Red
that.
Balloon. It's takes place, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, in France or Paris, France. Young boy sees a red balloon, starts to follow it through the streets. It's a really good book. Yeah,
Perfect.
it's a classic. It's a classic. Yes.
My new favorite book, Mel Robbins, Let Them.
Okay.
The Let Them theory,
Yes.
which is not just let them,
Yeah.
that we don't care, is let them, let us, let we, right?
Okay, yes.
And I'm really excited, and I've just ordered a bunch of new books.
Yeah, but we didn't even talk about this, but the library has done a really good job in bringing more black and brown books into their collection. Okay.
Awesome. And
I remember years ago, people would come in and
we couldn't see ourselves in the books.
right, and they would be like, "Where are the black books?" And I. Okay, and the one the first one I would go to is The Snowy Day, Ezra Jack Keats, right?
I think I have that.
And he's not the author's not black, but there's a little black boy in
it, right.
But now, forget
Representation
it.
has changed.
It's everywhere, and I'm so proud of that. I'm so proud that we have that.
So would you come back and do a part 2 once the library is open?
Absolutely.
We are excited. Once the library is open, we will be visiting, and we want to thank you for joining us, and we will be having more people from our community just telling us what they're doing, and I'm sure we'll see Valerie again because she's everywhere. Thank you for joining Aspen Horizons and Zion Zen. We'll see you next time.